Chapter 11. Newsflash. At this point in my experiment in bi-urban living, I found myself spending more time in Savannah than New York. The weather alone would have been reason enough for the tilt. By late April, New York was still struggling to free itself from the clutches of winter, while Savannah was well into the unfolding pageantry of warm and leisurely spring. Camellias, jonquils, and paperwhites had bloomed in December and January. Wisteria and redbuds had followed. And then in mid-March, the azaleas burst forth in gigantic pillows of red, white, and vermilion. White dogwood blossoms floated like clouds of confectioner's sugar above the azaleas. The scent of honeysuckle, Confederate jasmine, and the first magnolia blooms were already beginning to perfume the air. Who needed the chill of New York? So I lingered in Savannah. Its hushed and solemn streets became my streets of choice. I stayed put, just as Savannians did. Savannians often talked of other places, as if they liked to travel a lot, but usually it was just talk. Savannians liked to talk about Charlestown most of all, especially in the presence of a newcomer. They would compare the two cities endlessly. Savannah was the hostess city. Charlestown was the holy city, because it had a lot of churches. Savannah's streetscape was superior to Charlestown's, but Charlestown had finer interiors. Savannah was thoroughly English in style and temperament. Charlestown had French and Spanish influences as well as English. Savannah preferred hunting, fishing, and going to parties over intellectual pursuits. In Charlestown, it was the other way around. Savannah was attractive to tourists. Charlestown was overrun by them. On and on it went. In the minds of most Americans, Savannah and Charlestown were sister cities. If so, the sisters were barely on speaking terms. Savannians rarely went to Charlestown, even though it was less than 2 hours away by car. But then, Savannians rarely went anywhere at all. They could not be bothered. They were content to remain in their isolated city under self-imposed house arrest. There were exceptions, of course. Chablis was one of them. Chablis took her act on the road via trailways, just as she said she would, to Augusta, Columbia, Atlanta, and Jacksonville. She came back to Savannah between swings, long enough to freshen her wardrobe and avail herself of Dr. Myra Bishop's female hormone shots. When she was finished at Dr. Bishop's, she invariably called me up or threw pebbles at my window, and I would come down and drive her home. She came to look upon these rides as a ceremonial aspect of her sexual journey. The estrogen would be working its magic inside her, transferring the tomboy into a graceful empress, even as we drove through the streets of Savannah. On Saturday morning in early May, I was preparing to drive out to Fort Jackson to watch one of Savannah's traditional annual sporting events, the Scottish Games, when the telephone rang. It was Chablis. "It's the bitch, honey," she said. "It's the lady. I ain't looking for a ride this time, though. I'm just checking to see if you've had a look at your morning paper yet." "No, I haven't," I said. "Why?" "Remember that antique dealer you met? The one with the big house on Monterey Square?" "Yes," I said. "Didn't you tell me his name was Jim Williams?" "Yes, I did. What about him?" "James A. Williams?" she asked. "Yes." "Age 52? "Sounds right," I said. "Off 429 Bull Street?" "Come on, Chablis, what happened?" "He shot somebody last night." "What? Chablis, are you serious?" "I wouldn't joke about a thing like that. That's what it says right here in the paper. It says James A. Williams shot Danny Lewis Hansford, 21, It happened inside Mercer House. They got a big old picture of your friend, James A. Williams, on the front page. But they ain't got one of the 21-year-old, damn it, and that's the one I want to see. Did Danny Hansford die? I asked. He must have did, honey, 'cause they're charging Miss Williams with the murder.